From a family worth about as much as a small country's entire yearly budget, to one so wealthy that historians still can't agree on a real number for it, there's apparently no ceiling on how rich one bloodline can quietly get. And weirdly, the richest one on this list is also the one you've probably heard of the least. Let's rank them. Level 1. The American Gilded Fortune. One quick warning before we start ranking centuries against each other. Historical wealth doesn't come with a price tag. These are estimates, not bank statements. One man, one shipping and railroad empire. Cornelius Vanderbilt built it from a single ferry boat into a rail network that moved a meaningful share of America's freight. Economic historians estimate his peak fortune, adjusted for its share of the U.S. economy at the time, in the low hundreds of billions in today's terms. A genuinely staggering number for a man who started with basically nothing. Here's the twist that makes this level worth including at all. Within decades of his death, the family had reportedly burned through most of it, on mansions, on yachts, on a level of spending so aggressive that a Vanderbilt biographer later described the family motto, only half joking, as affluenza before the word existed. Building history's richest fortune, it turns out, is only half the job. Keeping it is apparently the harder half. Level 2. The percent of everything. Here's a number that should stop your scroll. At his peak, John D. Rockefeller's personal fortune has been estimated by economic historians at somewhere around 1.5% to 2% of the entire U.S. economy. Scale that percentage to today's economy, and you land somewhere north of $400 billion, held by one man from oil refining alone. For comparison, that's a bigger slice of the national economy than any single person, including the wealthiest people alive today, currently holds. Andrew Carnegie ran a close second with a fortune from steel that historians estimate in a similar range, and famously spent the last decades of his life trying to give almost all of it away, reportedly funding thousands of public libraries specifically so he wouldn't die disgracefully rich. His words, not history's. Two men, two industries. Both, by some measures, richer relative to their era's economy than anyone walking around today. Level 3. The bought election. Picture this, 1619. A vote is happening to decide who becomes the next Holy Roman Emperor, ruler of most of Central Europe. The outcome isn't decided by soldiers or by bloodline alone. It's decided, in large part, by a loan. Jakob Fugger, a German banker whose family had spent decades quietly financing popes, kings, and emperors, reportedly bankrolled the bribes that secured Charles V's election to the imperial throne, a sum some historians estimate at war chest levels no single monarch of the era could have matched alone. Fugger's family bank had, by that point, reportedly become so central to European finance that a Holy Roman Emperor genuinely couldn't get crowned without their signature on a loan first. Some economic historians rank Jakob Fugger, adjusted for his fortune's share of the European economy at the time, among the wealthiest individuals who ever lived, full stop. He didn't own an empire. He just made sure the empire couldn't function without asking him first. Because Level 4 isn't just a rich family anymore. It's a family that put actual popes in the Vatican. Level 4. The bank that made popes. The Medici family ran banking operations across Renaissance Europe and used the profits to do something no fortune before them had managed quite as thoroughly. They bought political permanence. 4 Medici family members reportedly became pope. 2 became queens of France. The family effectively ran Florence for generations, alternating between elected officials and outright rulers depending on the decade, all funded by a banking network that stretched from London to Constantinople. Their wealth also, reportedly, quietly bankrolled a meaningful share of the actual Renaissance, commissioning work from artists including Botticelli and Michelangelo, less out of pure taste and more because visible cultural patronage was, even then, one of the most effective ways to convert money into permanent influence. Fugger bought one election. The Medici family spent a century making sure they never had to buy just one thing at a time again. Level 5. The Private Kingdom. Not every fortune on this list came from banking or industry. Some of it came from simply owning the ground everyone else was standing on. Mir Osman Ali Khan, the last Nizam of Hyderabad, ruled over one of the wealthiest princely states in colonial-era India, controlling diamond mines that reportedly supplied a meaningful share of the world's diamonds at the time. His personal fortune, including a treasury reportedly stacked with gold bars and uncut stones, has been estimated by some historians, adjusted for the era's economy, as one of the largest personal fortunes ever documented, occasionally ranked above every name mentioned so far on this list. He was also, by most accounts, famously frugal, reportedly using a diamond worth millions as a paperweight and wearing the same cap for years past the point anyone would have blamed him for replacing it. The richest man in the room, and reportedly the cheapest. History apparently loves that combination. Level 6. The Vanished Treasury. Some fortunes get spent, some get inherited badly. The Romanov family's fortune got seized mid-sentence by an entire revolution. One of the largest privately held family fortunes in the world, separate entirely from the wealth of the Russian state itself, reportedly sitting under direct family control right up until 1917. Then it stopped. The Bolshevik Revolution seized the family's holdings almost overnight, and to this day, historians have never fully agreed on exactly how much vanished or where all of it actually went. The Romanovs didn't lose their fortune slowly. They lost it in the time it takes to read this sentence. Level 7. The Deliberately Invisible Fortune. Here's the part that reframes the entire ranking. The Rothschild family built a 19th century banking network across 5 European capitals, deliberately splitting sons across countries and, for generations, marrying cousins specifically to keep the fortune inside the family instead of diluting it through outside marriages. At their peak, some economic historians estimate the family's combined banking capital exceeded the wealth of every other bank on Earth combined. Every other name on this list eventually got measured, spent, or seized. The Rothschilds built the largest fortune historians can plausibly point to and made sure the real number never got published, on purpose, for 2 straight centuries. The richest family in history might not be the one with the biggest number. It might be the one that made sure nobody could ever confirm it. 7 families. 6 of them eventually got measured, spent, seized, or mythologized into a number. One of them just never let anyone finish counting. More of this in my books. QR's on screen. See you in the next one.